Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining another episode of Pepelwerk, where we help people evolve with work. And today we are going to give you 4 things to consider before you actually register or enroll or even think of paying for a university or college education. Why are we going to give you this information? Well, because there's a lot that goes on in the education industry that you just might not be aware of. And also, things have changed quite a bit in just the last 5 years about access to knowledge and information and skilling and basically filling your head with what you need to know in order to accomplish really your work-life goals. And most importantly for Pepelwerk, it is about making sure that you have the right information, the big picture kind of information that you might not know before you really overcommit or make decisions that might not be in your best interest. This content is going to be really good for people who are getting ready to graduate high school, making that decision of should I go to college or university right after I graduate or not at all. If I'm an adult trying to determine whether or not I need to reinvest in going to college or a university. Either of those 2 situations, this information will help you. So of course, like, subscribe, and follow and comment on what information that we're sharing with you today, because we want to make sure that the information that we're sharing is helping you make informed decisions about your work life. So hello, Sam. Thanks for having another conversation with me.
Hello, Kim. Looking forward to discussing education today.
The first thing that we want people to consider is, or ask themselves is, why do you think you need to register at a college or a university at all? And there are 3 things that you really need to answer or ask yourself about your own aspirations before you can even involve college or university. Because you remember, as soon as you talk to somebody from admissions, their goal is to get you to enroll. They are not necessarily focused on whether or not enrolling in that particular campus, that particular program is going to help you big picture wise. They want you to enroll and register just like every other business. So the 3 things that you can ask yourself about before you make that decision to enroll is, am I going to school because I really want an academic focus in my professional life, in my learning life? Do I really just need to get knowledge so that I can reach my career goals? Or do I really just want that piece of paper for a sense of accomplishment? You know, the degree or piece of paper conversation is different for everyone. So Sam, when you actually look at what the statistics are of people actually still enrolling in a college or university, can you share about what kind of enrollment statistics are happening and how many colleges and universities exist today that are like registered, just to explain the vast variety and numbers of schools that are available?
Of the 4,360 higher education institutions in the U.S., 2,832 are 4-year colleges and 1,582 are 2-year colleges. College enrollment had been showing a declining trend for several years before 2021. In the fall of 2010, a total of 21 million students were enrolled in colleges and universities. By the fall of 2019, this number had decreased to approximately 19.6 million.
Interesting. And when you did all of that research and you understand the number of businesses that are universities or colleges today, what kind of focus do they have that helps them differentiate between academic tracks or career tracks, or really just that sense of accomplishment to get that degree, that paper that sometimes people feel is valuable?
There are institutions that focus on academic focus, such as liberal arts, research universities, and specialized institutions. They emphasize in-depth research and critical thinking. For the career focus, there are technical colleges and professional schools that are skill-based training for specific careers. If you just want a sense of accomplishment, there are a lot of prestige institutions, including Ivy League, that give you networking and societal validation.
I'm asking you that, Sam, and to our audience, because you hear all the time in the news, I've got unwanted student debt, I didn't get a job related to my degree, and I think a lot of that can be solved if people actually evaluate why they're even enrolling in the first place, and understanding the vast array of businesses that are colleges or universities today. And then back to that whole paper degree thing, some people do think that you just got to have a piece of paper and that just means something to them. And that's a personal decision. If you think the investment, the dollars that you pay are worth the paper that you think you're going to get, go for it. I mean, I don't know if there's really anything else to debate about it. The second thing that we want to talk about today is decide exactly what you're paying for. And it makes a lot of sense, because if you just know you just want the paper, you just want to say that you have a bachelor's or a master's, or you got a degree from Harvard, or whatever you want to be able to say, and the reason why you want to say those things, okay, well, fine. You don't really need to understand what you're paying for, because you're paying for your personal validation through through the piece of paper. But what else could you be paying for school? You're either paying for the teachers and the knowledge, or you're paying for the experience. Sam, when you've been asked this question, or when people ask this question of the internet, what do you invest in for college or education or university? Where are the teachers coming from? How do colleges and universities source their teachers, and how are they building this curriculum?
Colleges and universities, like businesses, charge high fees for structured access to knowledge. Yet in today's digital era, this knowledge is often available directly from professionals at a lower cost. Many educators now offer courses independently, utilizing the same platforms as universities. While traditional institutions emphasize accreditation, the modern job landscape values tangible skills over formal credentials. With online platforms facilitating networking and skill showcase, the expensive university experience is becoming just one of many viable educational options.
I think that's actually something that is actually brought up in Ron Lieber's book. In that book, really what he explains is that your college and universities are basically a system, right? It's a learning management system is what they call it. And that curriculum, that content can be bought and sold from other curriculum providers. It can be bought and sold directly from experts in the field that are writing the curriculum and then making it available to you. And then they're going to charge you a markup, just like any other business, to get access to that under their learning management system. So if you're making a decision to enroll in a college or university, and you really are focused on being able to learn from great teachers, well, then there's lots of ways to do that today. And it does not always have to be through university or college gateways or gatekeepers to get access to that knowledge. And stay tuned for another episode, and we're going to talk to you more about where that curriculum comes from and how to get connected with people and experts that are directly just sharing that amazing knowledge at a different time. And of course, the experience. Sam, when you learn about what people are looking for in a college or university experience, what are the top 3 things that people are looking for?
When evaluating colleges, many potential students prioritize academic reputation, affordability, and career opportunities. However, a growing concern is that many institutions are not adapting to a future-ready workforce. The curricula often lack the practical skills required for modern jobs, and outdated career services contribute to postgraduate employment challenges. The allure of a vibrant campus experience and networking is weighed against the practicality of job readiness in a rapidly evolving market.
Wow, so the experience is a little bit of a challenge, because you could want to just go away from home as a young adult who's just graduating high school and starting their adult life. But as an adult learner, that going away from home is not really a possibility for you. But it's interesting that either one of those situations, in order for you to get the knowledge that you need, you really don't have to go anywhere anymore. It doesn't really, it does matter if you are going on an academic track versus a career track, and then what kind of career tracks you are basically following. And when I say track, I know that's kind of jargony. I just mean like a decision to, hey, I want to learn stuff because my goal is to get a specific job, and that's how I'm going to make my learning decisions. And then my academic track is, hey, I just want to be like a super genius in biochemistry. And that means that in order for me to be a super genius in biochemistry, I'm going to have to be really involved in the academia of it all, the big scientific stuff that goes into it. And I know that was super official lingo for you, but that really is the difference. And that experience doesn't have to be at a big old campus. You don't have to pay the additional price tag for that unless that experience is what you want. Because either way, you're going to be paying for life around you at the same time that you're paying for learning. And the way that people connect with communities and conversations and networking, and even as far as Greek life, I mean, it is crazy that you can just get access to that anywhere. So no longer is the expected college experience confined to a specific brand of college or university. It actually is really anywhere you want it to be, and you get to define that, and you get to define it in a way that is customized and personal for you. And we can, again, talk about that in a different episode. So the third thing is, what is it worth? What you need to evaluate before you make any type of enrollment decision is, what is the price tag of going through a formal college or university process? What is it worth to you? We've talked about the big picture worth, about like, what does that mean to your psyche? Do you feel like you're smarter, accomplished, whatever that intrinsic value of going and getting some sort of degree? But let's talk about the hard dollars. Sam, how much does it cost for a traditional college and a traditional university? And actually, while we're on it, what is the difference between a college and a university?
The cost of enrolling in a traditional U.S. college or university varies, with public colleges averaging around $10,000 annually for in-state tuition, while private institutions can exceed $50,000. Typically, colleges focus on undergraduate education, while universities encompass both undergraduate and graduate programs.
Well, I guess those are semantics, right? Because if colleges and universities are all about education and learning, and all of that learning and education is coming from subject matter experts, and all of those subject matter experts are creating curriculum and content in bundles on different platforms, then does it really matter if it's a college or a university? Because you're like adding layers of, I don't know, expense to the students. I don't know. We can talk about that part later. But the point in me figuring out or sharing with our audience how to make this decision around worth is, if you're investing $10,000, $15,000 a semester or more, you really might want to decide what is the value of that knowledge by the time that you graduate. Obviously, what we do at pepelwerk is we say, we don't want you to make a learning decision first. We want you to make a career decision first. Because if you're learning for the purpose of increasing your income, you really want to make sure you have an opportunity to increase your income. So that in all of our users, when all of our users app experience, that's why we start with goals first. We want to understand what's going to motivate you, what's going to be interesting to you, and what's going to be valuable for you to say that you're successful. And if financial health is one of them, you really need to evaluate the value of that paper degree and what your outcomes are supposed to be for getting that. And we know statistically that it is not always a match, no matter what schools or universities are telling you. And we know this because we are a centralized career service offering for a lot of educators, because it's easier for us to work together on our platform to make sure that you get the jobs that are related to the knowledge that you're learning, right? Than them having to work on their own. And what I'm talking about here, and Sam, let me know what statistics are out there about how many people get a return on investment, meaning within the first 3 to 5 years of actually using that knowledge. Do people actually get back the money and then some that improves their economic position, their income, their dollars in the bank? How many people do that? How many people that enroll or register in a formal college or university process, do they end up with a piece of paper that costs $100,000 and not including the time and effort and energy that was done if you're not actually applying that knowledge while you're learning that knowledge, like we do in people work? What happens afterwards? How many people get income within the first 5 years of earning that degree and investing that time? Do they get that money back, or that opportunity back, or the exact job? Because sometimes jobs, you want to be a therapist, and a therapist is going to make $35,000 to $40,000 a year sometimes. So you're going to invest high in learning and credentialing, but you're going to have a longer term before you get a return on investment. So Sam, tell me before I keep rambling.
Return on investment, ROI, of higher education, especially within the critical 3-5 year period post-graduation, a nuanced picture emerges. Drawing on a detailed report that analyzed the ROI for nearly 14,000 graduate degrees, some noteworthy findings emerge. Interestingly, a significant 40% of master's programs don't provide any net financial benefit at all. The MBA, one of the most pursued graduate degrees in America, often presents a median ROI that's negative, challenging traditional beliefs about its universal value. However, the crucial takeaway is that a significant number of graduates, despite their advanced degrees, don't realize a positive ROI within the first 3-5 years of their careers. This data underscores the importance of prospective students critically evaluating their chosen field and institution, understanding that higher education, while valuable, doesn't guarantee immediate financial returns. The onus is increasingly on individuals to assess the practicality and potential of their educational investments in the context of an evolving job market.
Well, so most of that information doesn't surprise me, but I hope it helps some of our viewers get a perspective. So this one is the next book that I definitely recommend, The Theft of a Decade. And you can understand why I'm asking everyone to evaluate what it is that they are doing what is it that they want when they think, hey, I need to go to a college or university to get the knowledge that I need. It's just not the way that the world continues to move. We've seen so many times for decades and decades, actually from the book, of the astronomical cost it takes for an individual, their family, societies, when you overinvest in education that doesn't relate to your work-life goals. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't invest in education. I'm just saying it doesn't look like what it did 10 years ago. And there are so many different options for you to get the knowledge you need to reach your work-life goals, especially if your work-life goals are centered around a very specific career. And the academia track is a completely different conversation, where investing in your education at a university, a great university, a university that is about quality content, quality curriculum, encouraging thinking, not churn and burn curriculum, that is a place where if you're of an academic mind and you want to create the next big bang theory, then that's where you need to go. And that investment is going to be astronomically worth it for you when you make that decision. So obviously the fourth and final point we're going to make in this episode today is, what is a reasonable cost for education today? There are so many financial options for you to get the cost of getting the knowledge you need for your goals to be covered. And obviously we make sure that we try to make that easy as possible for our users inside of our People app and for our educator customers, because they really want, our educator customers are passionate about providing value and getting you connected and accomplishing your work-life goals too. And that's kind of a cool experience. So for us, a reasonable cost for education depends on all of the other things that we've talked about. Now, we actually do know the number, like the dollar, if you're paying for a soft skill, and this is from like a boot camp or maybe a YouTube coach or a master class, you might be paying anywhere from $25 to $65 per hour for that knowledge. Now, per hour just means like, how many hours am I going to take from that expert's brain to share it with me so that I then know it? That's how you need to evaluate the cost of education. The time that you are asking or participating in that learning activity to gain the knowledge is where the dollar amount comes from. If there's any other costs on top of that, then that probably had to do with where you chose to learn from, whether it's a formal university, a college, a non-traditional educator, a boot camp, a license, a certificate. I mean, there's so many different options, but anything above that would determine whether or not that cost was higher or lower. Now, there are plenty of subject matters that, I mean, it is hundreds of thousands of dollars in order for you to learn and attain, like being a doctor. I kind of want people who want to be a doctor to really invest to get that expertise on this complicated working system. And the same for being a lawyer. I know that being a lawyer requires a certain in-depth understanding of the way that laws and the mechanisms of laws work. And I don't want anybody else to be in government or become an attorney that doesn't really understand the full picture of that. I mean, we can go on to a bunch of examples, but I think you've got the point. And Sam, when you look at the number, or when you look at enrollment by subject matter, just for US-based educators, is there like a top 10 degree or master, or not, I shouldn't have said that, top 10 major that people show, like, this is, if you're going to major in this, go to this school. Or if you're going to major in this, or this is your area of interest, go to that school. Like, what kind of advice what kind of information can we share with our users to help them understand the difference between where they would go to make sure that the cost is reasonable, and of course related to the worth that it's going to provide to them related to their work-life goals, making sure that they're paying for something, getting what they paid for, whether it's teachers or experience, and then getting and choosing a school that's based on their actual purpose for going there, academic or career or just pure accomplishment. Let us know.
Understanding educational choices starts with a deep self-assessment, helping users identify strengths and career goals. Stay updated with industry trends to select in-demand skills and sectors. Platforms comparing tuition costs and highlighting degree ROI are essential. Alumni experiences can provide real-world insights, while considering a school's accreditation and ranking ensures quality. Strong career services and institutions amplify job success after graduation. Embrace flexible online degrees for a balanced approach, and always emphasize the importance of knowing one's primary reason for pursuing education. Encourage choices that promote continuous learning to navigate evolving industries, ensuring users get value from their educational endeavors.
I hope that today, I know that today's content has to be incredibly valuable to people when they're trying to evaluate, do I pay, do I enroll, why would I register for college or university in 2023? And giving everyone an opportunity to really think through how to go about making that decision. Of course, all of our individual users, if you're in this situation and you're trying to make those decisions, download your app, register, complete your profile, talk to a career coach. Let's define your goals. Let's not have another reason to create to write versions 2 or 3 of the books that we used as references today. And then, of course, thank you, Sam, for providing us some facts along the way. And anybody, if you have any questions, comments, if you're an educator and you want to help people make the right decisions and get registered for your courses, let us know as well, because we're here for you. Pepelwerk.com.